I often talk about the value you get from Microsoft 365, but I know there are business users who entirely steer clear of Microsoft's products. I'm not going to dig into the background to this type of decision too much, but instead I want to look at this entirely through the lens of how many different apps, ecosystems, and dollars per month would it truly take if you decided to go out and purchase every capability you get in Microsoft 365 from a company other than Microsoft. So first, there are multiple flavors of Microsoft 365, so let's focus on one. The one I highlight the most on this channel and I believe represents the best overall value for small business. That's Microsoft 365 Business Premium. This is targeted at organizations of 300 seats or less and comes in at $22 per user per month. It includes access to the core Microsoft 365 apps like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, both for local install and for the web. It also includes Teams, the Bookings calendar automation tool, Forms for data collection and surveys, Power Platform for apps and automations, the new Loop app, OneNote for note-taking, SharePoint, and Outlook email. You get 1 terabyte of file storage per user, and it also includes a suite of additional security and compliance tools to help you keep your business and your users safe, such as Intune for managing devices, Microsoft Defender, and Entra ID, which was previously known as Azure Active Directory. It's a pretty big list. The most logical place to start is Microsoft's biggest competitor in the productivity space, Google, with its Google Workspace product. The roughly equivalent tier of Google Workspace to Microsoft 365 Business Premium is their Business Plus tier. This comes in at $18 per month, so it's a little cheaper than Microsoft 365. However, there are really big differences between Google Workspace and Microsoft 365. The biggest is, if you're used to working with Microsoft's Office apps on a Windows PC or a Mac, there is no functional equivalent for Google Workspace. Everything is in the browser. So many of the more niche, power user-focused, desktop-only features we see from Microsoft have no direct equivalent in Google's world. Google offers great email and file storage capabilities through its ubiquitous, but no longer actually called this, Gmail product, and Drive. It actually offers more file storage by default than Microsoft 365, with 5 terabytes per user pooled to a company-wide storage allowance with the Business Plus tier. For general use cases, what Google Workspace offers in terms of basic productivity needs is functionally equivalent to Microsoft 365. And with the things most average users are doing most of the time in a lot of organizations, the reason to use one or the other probably doesn't come down to this set of capabilities. However, there are areas of clear difference, as we will see, and as I always highlight, often the most important differentiators are on the edges of a product set. I hope you're finding this video useful. If you are, then please remember to give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you'll know immediately the next time I release a video. Also, if there are people in your network who would find information like this useful, please do consider sharing it there too. Thanks. Now, probably the most important Microsoft 365 app for many users that you wouldn't generally consider a core productivity app is Teams, a product that has grown to hundreds of millions of active users since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Google has Google Meet, which can largely take care of Teams' video meeting capabilities, but it also has chat functionality. But if you want the channel-based control and options you see in Teams, you might also want to add on a subscription to Slack, and depending on what you need, this can cost up to $7.25 per month. Also, if you use Teams' inbuilt webinar or live event capability, then you will probably need something more than Google Meet. Zoom has packages that fit this bill, but you'll pay dearly for them at $79 per user per month, so each person scheduling webinars or larger events is going to need that extra license. Bookings, in my opinion, is a really standout feature in Microsoft 365 that makes it super easy to keep your calendar well managed with as little work as possible. And if you're in an environment where other people make bookings into your calendar on your behalf, the Teams Virtual Appointments app has you covered. The logical place to get this functionality is Calendly, and a few weeks ago I published this video looking at the two products side by side. There's a link below if you're interested in that. There is a free tier of Calendly that will work for some use cases, but as I highlighted in that video, if you want a similar set of capabilities to bookings, you'll be paying between $8 and $12 per month. Both Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace have their own Forms products, and both are roughly equivalent in feature set, with few key differences between the two. Where Microsoft Forms does excel is in the simplicity of aggregating responses and in the concept of group ownership connected to Microsoft Teams or Microsoft 365 groups. Not everyone will be interested in those features, but if you are, you'll need a third-party product. Something like SurveyMonkey fits this bill well. SurveyMonkey does have a free plan, but if you want to extend beyond this, then you'll be looking at adding at least $25 per user per month. Basic functionality for Power Platform is included with Microsoft 365. This doesn't give you everything, and you need a separate license if you want to use premium connectors, but there's lots that's included for free. The easiest direct comparison to Power Automate is a product called Zapier. This actually has more connectors to services than Power Automate does, and if you're outside the Microsoft ecosystem in particular, it's a tool that makes a lot more sense. If you just have basic requirements for single-step tasks and not too many of them, then you can get Zapier for free. But as soon as you need more steps, more complexity, or just to run more tasks, you'll be paying at least $19.99 per user. Power Apps allows you to build apps that can be deployed inside your tenant, and under your Microsoft 365 license, you can use standard connectors that allow you predominantly to extend core Microsoft services. There's also an interesting Teams-based Power Apps capability called Dataverse for Teams that gives you premium data storage within the context of a Teams-based app. Google has a similar tool called AppSheet, which, like Power Apps, has basic functionality included with your Google Workspace subscription. With Workspace, you get a core license to AppSheet, which, while approaching apps very differently, gives you a roughly similar experience to Power Apps. However, where Google is weaker is that its overall productivity ecosystem doesn't contain as much as Microsoft's does. So in some ways, you are somewhat more limited in what you can interact with, but in others, such as notification options, you actually get more for free. Both Microsoft 365 Business Premium and Google Workspace Business Plus include certain security and compliance features to help make your use of their platforms safer. While both companies give you access to tools in the same categories here, with its Intune, Defender and Entra ID product set, Microsoft seems to give a more robust package. It becomes difficult to break this down into separate alternative packages because of what's already included in Google Workspace, but if you take something like Jump Cloud that covers identity and device management, you might end up paying $15 per month. So as you've seen, if you want to get all of Microsoft 365 without buying anything from Microsoft, you might end up paying a lot more. However, in many cases, and arguably in most cases, this is not a simple comparison, as often the decision to not use Microsoft 365 is because you don't need everything it offers, and even companies that use Microsoft 365 very often end up subscribing to other similar services that better fit their unique needs than the Microsoft alternative. These things are rarely simple or straightforward, and for most businesses, even if the jump in price is from $20 to $150 per user, if that extra spend means a few extra sales per month, then it's actually worth it. If you subscribe to Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, then there is never any harm in reviewing the package capabilities to see if there's a new tool or a new feature that can help you make your IT spend and management more efficient. A few weeks ago I published this video looking at just such a new feature related to Teams webinars, which may now help a few businesses stop spending an extra $79 per user per month on a Zoom license just for their added webinars and bigger meetings capabilities. However, that issue of management, in my opinion, is the big one. The likelihood that every app or service in Microsoft 365 is truly the best for your particular need is low. There's always going to be features in third-party services that appeal to you, but every time you add on an app, you add to the complexity in managing your IT needs, your support, your compliance, and your data resilience. Microsoft puts a big wrapper around a set of tools that can do 90% of what 90% of office-based workers need and secures that wrapper with an enterprise-grade compliance, security and identity offering. Once you're in that walled garden, you can manage everything using similar tools, everything falls under the same legal agreement, and it's seamless for your users to jump from one service to the next. For smaller businesses, the benefit of a single package approach can outweigh niche use differences between lots of different products. For those with a smaller set of needs, then Google Workspace is a great product. But if your alternative to Microsoft 365 is Google Workspace plus lots of other things, then you need to think for a moment about how you're going to manage all that complexity. My recommendation for any small business is to get professional IT management. Take a look at this video about why you should be using a managed services provider. There's a link below. And whether you're using Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, getting the most out of their security and compliance toolset requires professional expertise. But if you need more than the basics, and Microsoft 365's tools can work for you, it will be cheaper to license them and probably also cheaper to manage them than taking the approach of deploying dozens of different apps across multiple ecosystems. Ultimately, you should choose the best tools for your particular needs, but you must factor the overall complexity and management overhead into that decision. Where you need help with this, selecting new tools, reviewing your current packages, or even putting in place a new approach to digital transformation for your business, working with an outside consultant like me can be really valuable. There's a link to get in contact with me below where you can set up a free initial meeting for me to get to know your needs and for you to get to know how I can help. But if you already work with an MSP or an outside IT contractor, there's a good chance they can help you with this too. I hope this has provided a useful overview to you and given you some opportunity to think about the set of products you use in your business. Thanks for watching, and until the next video. Bye bye.